All right, let me see if. All right, there we go. We're back. We're back. Everything's good. And then let me also make sure that this is good. All right, now we're good. Everybody's good. We're good. All right, so, just to reiterate, like, nothing's wrong with frozen walrus, the fundamentals. There's an exhaustion across the Tomb Fork market, and we're no different in that aspect, but we also had different factors going into this recent slump that we've seen, that I think is putting some extra pain on us. So, you guys know that I'm all in. I don't hide that, and I'm very transparent about my passion for this, for this protocol and for my community. And it does make waves. And I think a lot of people do know, my intention is that I will continue building frozen walrus, and my intention is always good, and I have integrity. And I think that's a marketable aspect, which we'll talk about later. But just for my own sake, I want to go over this again, and I may put out a separate video. And again, that's something else I want to talk about, is that, if you're in this, and I've seen so many people in the recent days that want to come in for the PCP campaign, and so many people still seem to not be grasping the full model of a Tomb Fork, and play into emotions or try and trade it for some reason. Now with Walrus Share, that's much different, but with Narwhal and Walrus, nothing's really fundamentally changed. We had the liquidity for it, but people are chasing APRs elsewhere, which is perfectly fine. It happens all the time. It's a rotation. But educating yourself in a Tomb Fork is absolutely 100% necessary. If you're not taking the necessary steps, let this be a wake-up call to learn. I have so many resources that I've put hours and hours into through YouTube videos, through docs, through whatever means it is. But still, the sentiment is still wrapped with the TWAP or the peg. And it's so ass backwards of why that is. The only thing that changes when the peg happens is that the boardroom stops printing. And yes, that is important, but it's not the main focus of a Tomb Fork. The Tomb Fork is a yielding protocol where you yield to get, Walrus Share. And with that Walrus Share, with the Seniorage model, is you profit when we go back over 1.01, when there's more demand for Walrus than there is currently a circulating supply. And so this narrative that's being built that like peg is all or the Tomb Fork's failing is asinine, quite honestly. And we see it with things like the detonator over at EMP, that because they have so many ways to lock up their liquidity and so many GameFi mechanics, nobody really focuses on peg. And of course they're struggling like every Tomb Fork, but they have so much liquidity. That's what this protocol is about, is building deep liquidity. And that's why you see that I don't have single stake nodes or single staking, because liquidity is king in these. It's not about the value or the price or anything like that. You're yielding at such high yields because we're trying to constantly make deeper and deeper liquidity. And the less or the more liquidity we have, the less vulnerable your position is. So if you're a share maxi, that's perfectly understandable, but don't complain in the chat if your shares go down and your value of your portfolio goes down. We've constantly made it clear that you should hold a very good value or a higher percentage into the LPs. Even the share LP at this point would have dampened that. So if you're sitting in the boardroom or just holding on to shares, if you're not a trader, you're not doing this right. You're an investor, so invest to yield. Don't just buy something that doesn't yield in a yielding protocol. You have to kick yourself in the ass here and do the right thing for the protocol, because at the end of the day, this is why I love the Seniorage model, is that doing the right thing for the protocol benefits you as a user. And if everybody collectively wants to benefit themselves, again, past trading the share token or whatever you choose to trade, then benefiting yourself also benefits the protocol. That marriage is absolutely what draws me into these Tomb Forks, and why I love running one. And so I wanted to make that very, very, very clear, that I think the narrative of a peg is, again, so flawed, because nobody should expect a constant inflation on a token. We're not a rebase model. We don't just constantly inflate. We have rules, and the rules, you can't game them. You can put single stake in and try and game them, But at the end of the day, they're supposed to go under. And with deep liquidity, then that's great. We can go back over when the sentiment changes or when there's new models or enough tokens burnt out that it goes back over. But you're still yielding. You're still making money holding this asset in LP form. And so, when we get things like the detonator and things like that, it'll become more apparent why PEG is not the end all be all. And the more flavor we put into the system of utility, and I'll explain kind of what utility is in my eyes, then we'll have all these flavors, then PEG can start taking a back seat. But to constantly focus on the PEG and get negative about not being at PEG, we're not a failure. We still have a shit ton of liquidity in the PCP campaign. We still have a shit ton of liquidity in Walrus token for an AVAX tune fork. This sentiment of constantly selling under PEG is wild to me. I don't know what mentally people are thinking. If they need the profits, understandable. But to sell because you're thinking, oh man, we're never going to touch PEG again. You're still in a yielding protocol. You're going to yield off of those. We're going to pay you to stay with that liquidity. And then, for people with my recent decision for the PEG campaign or anybody complaining about the 0.6% APR, I got to say, I don't understand it. I don't get behind it. I do not share any of that sentiment. 0.6% daily in a blue chip asset for zero impermanent loss, for just believing that we will again hit PEG is insane to me, right? I'm paying straight from the Treasury. Just in reference, AIMS had two of their own personal protocol tokens paying it out the entire time. I'm putting real money into this all together through buybacks and Treasury management. I've put up over 160K of our Treasury into this, if not more now. And to say that after 7 days, I saw a lot of negative sentiment about, I changed the rules. I didn't change the rules. I said 2.5% at that time because I felt like we could do it and we were at a good trajectory. But things change in a moment's notice. And if you have a leader that's not pivoting to the market or to the sentiment, then you're in the wrong protocol as well. So I don't know. It's just crazy to me that all this sentiment changed when we ran a very successful protocol for 2.5 months. And now the focus has to be driven to get back to PEG because that's what draws all these investors. But that's really not the goal. Deepening liquidity and making us sustainable by removing some of that circulating supply and not printing all the time and having an educated community that stands behind that same thought process. That's real. That's what I want. So all of this, PEG talk and all of that, I get it, but the sentiment has to change. And you as an investor have to kick yourself in the ass and realize, are you in this for the right reasons? And if not, get out, because this is a yielding protocol that bases itself on a CNORG model. And when we are over and we have more demand, you get part of that profit by staking the share token. Right. And that's it. That's what this model is. And it works. The U.S. economy uses it. There's plenty of successful protocols that use it. And we're no different. You as an investor have to realize, are you an investor or a trader? If you're trading the token, why are you yielding off of it? That makes no sense. Don't yield it. Right. And if you're trying to swing the PEG token, this is what's happening now, is people are trying to swing this PEG token, whatever, I guess we'll eventually get you out through effort and time. And you all see the products that I can expose you to and the people that I can expose you to and the amount of connections I've made in the last 3 months of running this protocol. I'm not giving up. And sooner or later, the market will wake up to that. And, I will develop a product that eventually catches on. I have all of the connections. And I will produce something that, repacks the sentiment in. So, if you exit now. That's okay. I'm not mad at you. But these are the best lucrative times to get into a PEG token. These are the best times to put LP into a PEG token. So if you want to invest. If you don't. I'm not here to sell you on that. I'm here to sell you on this model works. And with the proper amount of people in my circle and effort, that I can continue to drive sentiment to this. So that's my spiel. I know it's a lot, but it needed to be said because so many people try to get in this for the wrong reasons, and so many tune forks die because honestly, communities of tune forks have gotten it, I guess, in their head, how to judge sentiment, and it's no fault to you all. It's what we've seen. So you're basing it off that, that psychosis of what we've seen in the market and what makes people enter and exit. And obviously, if so many people believe that, then that's what really follows through. But I'm not here to, fall into that category. I need to make sure I'm bringing in educated investors that follow the same path, because with that, we can change the narrative in our own protocol. So, I'm going to do a lot of things as far as videos, as far as education, as far as bringing people onto the team that can really share that same, that really same, that same passion and that same drive to bring the education forward, to bring you all. And this is our biggest asset. And I hate seeing it dampen so much because of the negative sentiment in the chat. But that's our greatest asset, right? That's what draws people here. And that's what's really marketable about me and about this protocol, right? Frozen Walrus, built from scratch, has 100 people listening to an Ask Me Anything at any given time, 50 people on 1 hour notice, 5-minute notice. It don't matter. We bring an audience because you all support me. That is so marketable. You have no idea. There are so many people out here doing Ask Me Anythings to 20 fucking people. And I bring real eyes and real people here, because, I've talked to you all with genuine passion and you all see it. So you all follow that. And that's something that really matters to me. And I think that it's something that we can use actually for revenue. I think that if we can push my YouTube channel up higher, that we can start doing doxed interviews, AMAs, with specific groups that you all can either vote on, or I can do it under my own leisure, and then take all of that money that they normally pay marketers. Because again, I've been in that nasty world. But if they want a real community that has real understanding of these models and other models in DeFi, I can bring those up to you all. And whatever they pay me in crypto, I can make it very transparent, and we can send that right back to the Treasury. And that's what I'm thinking. I think we should turn this into a model, because if I can draw this many people into Ask Me Anythings, let's bring other people in here to talk to you all. You all don't have to get sold on it, but if they want to talk to you guys, let's start making a price tag on it and grow our Treasury with a real revenue stream. And so to talk about revenue and to talk about utility. And I know I'm going fast, so put me on 0.5 speed on YouTube and you'll catch up. But I got to say all this. So utility is anything that I can do that makes you as an investor think that giving your walrus up for that risk or reward is worth it. That is a utility. Anything that I can produce to do that makes you want to transact your walrus for something else is a utility. It can be small, it can be big, but those are things that we're focused on through lotteries, through games, through casinos, whatever it is. Those are the things that I want to bring to you all as a community for utilities to get some of the walrus off the market. And whether that be through partner protocols that I can start working with, then that's what we'll do. And then revenue can be anything that brings money in that's outside of our protocol. So for YouTube, if we can grow a substantial YouTube, and I can start making videos outside of just the Ask Me Anythings, but also have people that approach me that want to do YouTube videos, I'm completely comfortable taking all of that money and giving it back, because really I'm just a vessel for you all as a community. So I don't need, to make money off of that. We can feed our Treasury for the longevity of this protocol. That's how dedicated I am. Again, I haven't been paid in 3 weeks and I'm perfectly fine with it. And I'll keep doing this. I don't care. Like, the success of this protocol means everything to me. And the sooner people realize that and stop getting in these bullshit undoxed protocols that don't care about you, the better off we'll be. And some of that's just market sentiment. Some of that's normal. But there's very few people that can drive the same passion that I do through a camera, that you all see. There's a, and I just want to be able to use that, for our own revenue, for this protocol, for you all. So that's something I'm thinking about. And then, obviously I've been talking with, ever since the whole LC debacle has been playing out, I am very surprised with how much traction I get in LC chat, of all of you all speaking about me, and all of the protocol owners that have reached out and said, dude, like, everybody's talking about you in the LC Discord and everybody says how trustworthy you are. Hell yeah. And so that's really cool. So now I'm getting project owners reaching out to me just about, like, my integrity in the space. And again, that's marketable. And so, whatever it takes to get us the leg up, whatever I can produce to make Frozen Walrus more favorable than the next protocol, I will start taking it. So just a couple things off that. And then obviously revenue models can also be protocols we produce, whatever it is. If we want to produce, something on Doge Chain, for example, and bring that revenue back, whatever it is, I'll be looking at every single aspect of trying to bring revenue back into our protocol so that we can slowly start working on a revenue model for either sharing it or doing buybacks and burns. And the sharing model that I wanted to do with you all is obviously locking that LP up into an illiquid asset. And then you're able to stake that illiquid asset for the exact treasury profit for that week or whatever. And they may not be DGen APRs, but they are APRs of real L1 assets. And again, what's disappointing is that I can't offer the 0.6% daily that I am right now in the PCP campaign, but people are still complaining about that. As a DeFi community, we've been spoiled and saturated with disgusting APRs that honestly, if you as an investor don't know this, are fake, right? You can't have a sustainable 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%. You are not getting that because no liquidity over 1 million can produce that. And it's so apparent to me, but it seems like as DeFi investors, we've become, so saturated with high APRs, you all think that is sustainable. And that goes against, that's how people judge protocols and tomb forks. It's almost like this static level in people's brain, after it goes under 1% daily, then it's not worth it. Which is so backwards. If you're building a big position, if you want Frozen Walrus to be a long-term position in your portfolio, you shouldn't want those high APRs because the more, the less the APRs is, or the higher the APRs is, the less people that are getting them. Because Walrus Share is obviously a static emission schedule. So the less the APRs are, of course, you'll take a short-term hit in your profit taking, but longevity wise, it's much healthier to get it in much more people's hands. So yeah, I got a lot of stuff to say. So we're going to keep going. And this is another thing for the Back to Peg campaign that I slipped up on, is built this narrative that we need to get back to peg. We don't need to get back to peg. I just wanted to patch the hole of sentiment that seemed to have happened on that huge panic cascade, that bank run, and I needed to act fast. So back to peg isn't the goal. Deepening liquidity is. I wanted to patch that hole, which is what we've done with the PCP campaign. And I think there's a couple extra steps, and that's the PCP campaign 2. And that's bringing you an alternative higher APR to kind of taper the expectation that some of these people that, granted deposit their USDC and probably have no idea what they're doing or don't care. But I want a more enticing APR for the short term to kind of taper off. So we're thinking 0.9 peg all the way up to 1.2 peg for a different reward tax structure. With higher APRs on your LP farms. And so we're going to do that while we compensate for the share price going up as we get closer to 1. And obviously the speculative share price will go up, increasing our APRs more dramatically anyway. And then by the time the PCP2 campaign's done, then I think that it's a good transition period to get to that second tier, back to normalcy. So yeah. So there's my soapbox about you as a community. Being active and engaged is free. Subscribing to my channel is free. Everything you can do for free can impact your own position. Quit being passive investors and put, if your money's in this, then do what you think is best for the protocol. Do what's best for your own investment. Stop flooding your bags with bullshit negative sentiment when there is no need for it, because nothing about this protocol has changed. Nothing about me has changed. Nothing about my team has changed. You have all the facts. The only thing that's changed is sentiment. Now, you can either be a part of the negative sentiment by selling into it, or be a change in the chat and be positive. I'm going to bring in more mods. I'm going to bring in more team members. I'm going to start developing out further and faster. And we will eventually catch on. It doesn't matter. Whatever. If the price is at 1 cent, I'll still fucking build. People have to understand that. I'm in this deep, and it's all I care about, other than, of course, my family. But, as far as goals for work and stuff, this is it for me. This is what I want to fucking do. the faster we learn that, the more you can have trust in what I'm doing and the vision that I'm producing. I may not always be on the cusp of innovation, but by God, I'll bring the cusp of innovation right here to you. No matter what. Detonator's great. Everybody wants detonator. Fuck it, I'll bring detonator, right? I'll talk to the team that made the detonator, and that's what I've been doing. I'll just keep moving, and then I'll eventually find something and find the team that can innovate and make things that we need as a community to make our next leg up. So, I'm just a little fired up. I'm fired up, and so I'll calm down.
That was a great transition. Take a breath.
I got plenty more, but I got plenty more.
I know you do.
We'll wait till I get some questions.
There was like 4 points there where I was going to stop it, but I decided not to. I'll let you go. Yeah, we've got a couple questions. Do you want to take some?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll start with Kirk Lazarus. Have you discussed using Walrus Narwhal as collateral with Grape's upcoming borrowing platform? This would be great to stop the sell pressure, and if it's in the Magic Farm LP, it could be self-paying loan.
Yes.
All right. Rad Dad, is there a strategy or preference for bringing up the Narwhal back to peg first versus Walrus token? What should we focus on to help the overall project?
So what's crazy is Narwhal is such a low investment to get it back over peg. And this is another thing that's like so ass backwards is for some reason, because Walrus is under peg right now, Narwhal is getting no love. But obviously we've actually been doing pretty good fighting right around peg. But what's crazy is that it has been printing, and people still, don't seem to want to support it past that 1.05 or whatever it is, or start building liquidity around it. But it's a completely new peg token that can do the exact same thing Walrus did. And it has its entire same use cases. But people, for some reason, are drawing such negative sentiment to the protocol and this space right now that, we're lacking the commitment to put our money where our mouth is. And I understand people have money tied up. And of course, it's not your all's fault. But, the people that are selling Narwhal at these levels with such low liquidity is absolutely insane to me because so much, there's other protocols that only have one peg token and it's only printing half the time. And I see their shares much higher. And obviously we have much more share in circulation with being 3 months old. But regardless, the entire purpose of having Narwhal with a lower cap than Walrus kind of trailing behind is that, we can give value to Walrus share just by supporting Narwhal. And then by supporting Narwhal and Walrus share, then it obviously has positive sentiment back to Walrus. So, it's however you want to see it, but that's kind of how I see it. It's weird to see people selling off little bits of Narwhal when it doesn't seem like you're making much profit right now. When there's so much more money to be made in the protocol by just coming at it correct and doing exactly what we did with Walrus. It's insane to me to see that we've had such a successful track record, and after one panic cascade, we've been deemed for failure by so many people. But nothing's changed, and Narwhal is a really good token, and it can do the exact same thing, and it'll have its own quirks. And honestly, supporting Narwhal is also beneficial to you as a, you also get some pop tokens. So we even have that kind of angle. I know it's not like the most lucrative thing, obviously, but it is an extra incentive to make LP and be a part of that because we made that partnership happen. And the Swapsicle team is amazing. So, it sucks to see that people can't support Narwhal even with such low liquidity. And it seems like we're having so much struggle with such small things. But yeah, next question.
All right. Let's see here. Our friend Steven. Hold on. I had another question. I'm calling him Steven. Adopted Narwhal. I think it's Steven. It could be Steven. Anyway, I was wondering, Lame Hillbilly, what was your expectations coming into the PEG campaign? You mentioned it will take a while. Were you expecting a relatively high locked amount of USDC but no TWAP? Would you have changed things if you were able to go back?
Yes, I would have changed things. What did I expect? I expected not this much support early on. I'll say that. I didn't expect us to run so high. I actually didn't want that. It was great to see. that we had so much support, obviously at the cost of the Treasury brunting the $180,000 bill. But regardless, I think it was wildly successful. And I don't know why people are still continuing to sell walrus. There's so many avenues to make money right now in frozen walrus while we're in this disgusting bear market. It seems insane to me. So what would I have done to change it? I didn't take into account when I bought it, because obviously I was a bit frantic that it's so easily gamed. So many people that had so much malicious intent to game it and look at this protocol for like swing trades. Now they're out of it for right now. It seems like with nobody, putting in big support, but regardless, it's a shame to see people with me paying out 0.6% daily, not in our protocol's native asset, but with AVAX, that people still seem to find, some kind of issue with that. And so, the back-to-back campaign was really good for sentiment changing. And it honestly did really good. But something happened the last 3 days. Obviously, the reward changed, but this was before that, honestly, that we started getting some sell-offs where people felt like they didn't want to commit to it anymore. And I don't know what changed, but, somebody maybe can explain it to me. But now, of course, we're getting a sell-off because I think it's also coupled with the entire market and also Tomb Forks in general are getting sold off right now. But it doesn't really change my opinion that we needed something to drive the sentiment back, and back-to-pay campaign was the perfect tool for that. And I think it's a great tool. But I think also what we're developing on top of it should help with a more attainable goal of like 0.9, so that once we are pushed to that level, I can remove taxes and we can park our LP somewhere else and start compounding a little bit better.
Just a second.
Jesus Christ, 120 people in here. Thank you guys.
Nice. Yeah.
I love a packed house, baby.
I think somebody probably talked about you going off on another Discord. That was quite the speech, man.
Yeah.
We
need to kick in the ass.
Rad Dad Kittaloo says, how does this affect the timelines on the upcoming build out of the game or the Mammoth token? Are those plans delayed?
I wouldn't say delayed. I'm pivoting. I'm just pivoting right now because it's been so cumbersome to keep focus on this peg. And that's why I'm doing this, is to say, look, I get everybody wants peg, but it's not important. And then here's what I could be doing otherwise, is actually build real utilities, and then let the peg campaign do what it's wanting to. And then, you all help me drive sentiment, and education, and build hype back into the protocol. And it just takes time sometimes.
Let's see here.
No taxes.
Fuck taxes.
Other than obviously the PCP campaign, because that's the reward versus risk structure. But putting a tax on every single transaction is not a reward versus risk structure. Yeah, LC has nothing to do with what happened here. Again, I've stayed away from publicly commenting on the situation. I will say a couple things is that I fully support LB. I don't think that he had any malicious actions. I actually, in fact, know he didn't. I also don't think most of the team had any idea, what was going on. And then all of these things coming out about Eric are completely separate from, my vision of my protocol. The reason I got into the circle of trust, even without liking rebase protocols, is because originally when I was pitched LC, it was completely separate of a protocol. And then Eric changed the model a little bit to a rebase protocol. And obviously I support Grape and everything they do. And so I was still for it. And obviously I know a lot of people were making good money and also losing good money through rebase protocols. But, the benefits of having that circle of trust and being able to work with those partners was beneficial to me. And so, again, I'm not still going to publicly comment on what I think about Eric. I've said a couple things. Obviously I condemn any action of stealing people's money. Also, I've recently heard about his 60K debacle, insane to me. I get paid from when my protocol is successful, and so that's how I see it.
I think you're worth 60,000, Austin.
I've done a couple more Ask Me Anything, so
I think you're worth that.
But anyway.
Is there a separate fund if needed to create the future utilities such as Mammoth and the P2E from Not So Savvy?
Wait, say that one more time.
Not So Savvy asks if there is a separate fund if needed to create the future utilities such as Mammoth and the P2E game.
No, it's all from the Treasury. Which honestly, even after spending 160K of assets, the Treasury is still pretty healthy. Honestly, I didn't realize how fucking healthy our Treasury was until I've seen some other protocols, and I was like, holy shit, how are they managing this? But for me, like, I think we managed our Treasury like beautifully. Obviously, we've taken some hits in the last week, but I think we can get it back there. So,
I think so too. Lettuce wants to know: will the Treasury also be making an extra investment in Project 79?
we may, yeah, it would have to be voted on. And the problem with voting right now is the way I have set up voting is that you have to be a shareholder staked in the boardroom. And I don't think a lot of people are staking in the boardroom. So I don't think we'll get a full picture. Obviously, much more dedicated people that are still in the boardroom. But I don't think that I want to produce that right now. Maybe once Narwhal gets some stability, I'll set up. But yeah, obviously, we can already set up the 3% allocations that we're getting from that, from our users investing in that. We can debate whether we want to invest that back into Project 79, which is what I'd like to do, or do it for buyback and burns, whatever the community decides on.
Crypto Gamer wants to know why not make the PCP an integral part of the farms. In my opinion, it can bring big investors who are looking to farm AVAX a decent percentage or buying Walrus USD LC or LP and stake it.
Because we can't afford it. The Treasury, is spinning out of the ass to continue this campaign, and being able to farm AVAX is pretty much just you all taking AVAX from the Treasury, which I've agreed to do, obviously, because I think the benefits of it, outweigh the cost. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. But giving AVAX for free would have to come with some kind of risk for the user or some kind of commitment from the user before it would be worth it.
Not So Savvy also wants to know, based on the popularity of the PCP and the benefits it brings, if used correctly, would you expand this to all PEG tokens, including future tokens? And if so, will there be a baseline duration when under PEG that will merit turning on the PCP? And how would the project's treasury manage if all three end up below PEG? What else do you envision could fund the PCP rewards?
Yeah, so PCP in the future for other tokens and currently Walrus, I would probably change some things up. I would have an exit plan of like 1.1 before the tax ended. I would make a very specific structure of how much I'll allocate before I stop it. And then I'll also I wouldn't do it unless there was like a big sentiment shift for some reason, because I think that it needs to become a normalcy for you all as users to see Tune Forks go under and above peg. And the faster we achieve that, the less panic cascades, the less ridiculous selling we see like we are right now with Walrus. And the more that this protocol can begin to do what it does, which is elastic finance, as DeFi Master puts it. Think if you hit a rubber band and it starts, it goes big waves, and then it slowly tightens up. And that's technically what one of these protocols is supposed to do. Is that it's supposed to go above and below peg in grand gestures at first, and then start tightening up. But it really does rely on GameFi mechanics of users. But that's one of the things that kind of Detonator can kind of stall for a little bit, and also it's just a really well built system. And I think that our community, with as impactful as you all are, and the trust that you all have given me, I think that it can be a lucrative investment for both you and also a great stability for the protocol.
And final question, then we'll bring Master Theo up. Luke wants to know if we limited PCP to only pay out for a specified time, let's say 30 days, before needing to deposit new funds to be able to continue to receive rewards, this would incentivize people to continue to deposit fresh funds.
But I mean, it's still the same end goal. Like, what would doing it for 30 days mean? It means that at the 5th or 6th day before it ended, they would probably start dumping it. And then once I ended it, if we weren't at a 1.01 or whatever it is, then people would just like take their LP and break it. So like I don't think that it's a good fix all in my opinion in that aspect. I think it's really good for sentiment shift and to get some extra support for the protocol when it really needs it. And we really did need it. We were losing investors. We retained a lot of liquidity, but we were losing that sentiment. And listen, my goal is to not get every investor that's in Frozen Walrus 100% into like doing what's best for the protocol. That's impossible. This is DeFi, and we have so many malicious people and so many people that choose to trade rather than invest, and that's perfectly fine as long as you know who you are. My goal is to educate the people with the smaller bags or the bigger bags that are not used to these kind of fundamentals at play and not used to and want to do something good in the DeFi space together. That's really who I'm trying to. And if we get a mass majority into that mindset, then the protocol can run itself. And that's the thing is if we don't get hung up on this sentiment of underpeg, overpeg, if it's under TWAP, then we have to mass sell because everybody else is going to dump on my head. And we just need a couple of bank runs to really prove that. And so, some of these ripping band-aids off of this bank run, we print it for 2.5 months and everybody thought we are the fucking greatest thing from, planet Earth. But I kept saying, like, we're doing good for now, right? Because these are the things that happen when you get too comfortable. And we had a lot of people that didn't take proper profits. And, it just started a panic cascade that hurt. It hurt me personally. Like I felt it physically. I was in pain. It's one of those things that had to happen. And how we recover from it, you as investors, the more that we, make this recovery known, really does provide a bigger, beacon or a bigger signal to other investors like, hey, Walrus jumped back from this. So, I don't think it's going anywhere. I still get all kinds of support from people that say like Walrus isn't going anywhere, and fucking thank you guys for saying that in public and like saying that to other people. And that means something. Like if the other investors aren't being paid to shill, and you're just doing it out of your own goodwill, like, by God, I'm never going to tell you to go shill anywhere. And if you're out there doing it and saying my name and saying this protocol, like that really does change the perspective of Frozen Walrus to future investors.
All right. I believe Master Theo would like to come up and say a few words, ask a question.
Yeah,
or
my Discord's fucked. I can't.
they moved the hand thing up to the top.
I know, but when I click it, I don't see his name. Do you see that?
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's fucked for you too, right? I can invite him to speak by right clicking him. I think that should get you. Okay, perfect. Alex, what's going on, man? Nice first video on Frozen Walrus. I appreciate it, man.
And second.
Yeah, I think I've done 3 up to now.
Hell yeah. 3 videos. Thank you for the support, man.
That's cool. I do support you. You know that. One of the things that I wanted to say was that a lot of investors they're looking at the protocol every single day and every hour of the day, and I think they're just focused on like not enough gains and they're being spoiled, I guess. Like if you wait a few days and you see your rewards pile up, then that's the power of these protocols. Like you're supposed to treat it as a long-term investment is what I'm saying. And the core community, at least, is treating it as that. It's just that slowly we are bringing in more people that are interested to work for the protocol, I think. And organic growth is the way to go. And I think the sentiment will actually change.
Yep.
As it goes on.
I agree with that. And I think slowly we are changing the sentiment back. Plenty of people still believe in us. Plenty of people still see Frozen Walrus being here. And that's what I've always preached, is that I just want this to be a place where you can feel comfortable parking your money. Obviously, you have to be an active investor in a Tomb Fork, and that's apparent. You have to be on top of it. But the more commitment we can get to these LPs and deepening liquidity on AVAX and putting us on topping the charts. I mean, Walrus was actually topping the charts on Trader Joe. I mean, that's fucking insane. It was a 2.5 month old protocol, and look at what we did as
whitelist.
Yeah, and we like legitimately, had a super fork for a little while, and we really plowed through shit. And I was very happy about that, and even I got spoiled to it. But when people see massive profits, some people get greedy and don't take profits, and that's exactly what we saw. Is that nobody took profits, and then as soon as some people started exiting and rotating their position, Well, then there was a panic cascade because everybody felt like I didn't make enough money. I got to make it all right now before I lose all my gains. But if you look at this as a horizon of not 3 months, not one day, but look at it for what are you going to do with Frozen Walrus investment for the next 6 months, for the next 7 months? Like, can you make gains? And I can promise you, you will. If you keep committing and everybody feels that same passion and that same feeling for their investment, that confidence level brings other confidence level back to other investors, and then it continues back into the same exact pattern we got to before. So it's really important that you as an investor, kick yourself in the ass and realize like this protocol can work, but you have to put your feet in the sand and stop thinking so emotionally. And you as a person in this chat can change sentiment. We see it with negative sentiment all the time. One person can fuck the whole chat up for the next 8-10 minutes of their chat. So that shows you that you as a positive force, you as somebody that wants to educate, that somebody wants to bring other new people in. That's where our fundamentals lied, is that everybody that came in felt like this was a very welcoming place. I mean, look, we have 120 people in this Ask Me Anything because people come here. And that's very powerful in DeFi. And there's not a lot of places that can do it. And we have a very small protocol with a very low market cap, with a very low TVL, and we can drive it right back up. But you all as investors have to also work for your investments. I never said it was going to be easy. This is not some node play where I claim that you can get lifetime passive income. This is income that you work for. And that's inside the communities and being the person you are and trying to help other people. And so all of that collectively. Go ahead, Alex.
Otherwise, you'd be a rebase token, right?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We don't have taxes. I don't have ways to fuel the treasury without positive price action or revenue streams. Ours is, my team doesn't get paid until we're back over peg. We're all working towards the same goal. I promise you. And so, with that in mind, just know that like, I've got a fire under my ass to constantly work for the betterment of this protocol. And I need you all in the community to also stand by that and put a fire under your own ass to work for your own protocol, for your own gains. And that's really what drives a great community that we've seen. I mean, we have 39 server boosts, which I know, again, is something I talk about, but that's insane. We still have 39 server boosts in here. And there's people that can't even get to their 14th. And we have so many people that choose to support Frozen Walrus. So we just need to act and respond accordingly. Be somewhere that people want to come to, educate them, and then they will feel more inclined to invest, especially at these stupidly low prices while people are choosing to dump their walrus.
Oh my God, I just wish I had a lot more to invest right now.
And I understand that's a problem for some people as well. And if that is your case, then 100% okay. Like by no means...
loan from the parents.
Nobody take loans out. Please, God, don't take fucking loans out.
No, man. You know me. I want to invest my life savings.
Yeah, do
like
not.
That,
do not.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you coming up.
I wanted to say one more thing. Like the one thing that you said is like the innovation is one of the really, really great things about Frozen Wars, because especially with not renounced contracts, it's like you can bring anything we want as investors, like literally. And I just want to push that point because I actually really like that aspect of it. And I just wanted to ask about Mammoth. I know that it might be delayed. It might. I don't really care too much about when it happens, but it probably will happen. I had a question about. Is it going to be the same kind of mechanism that the DIBS protocol uses for pegging to BNB?
So no, it'll be 1-to-1. And I honestly have started thinking about a new way to do the Genesis pool that I think that could help us with the sell pressure we saw. I want to make the LP token be able to be transferred. And I know this isn't your question, but this is a point that I wanted to make about Mammoth. When we do produce it, when we feel like we're all comfortable producing a new peg token, you'll be able to use obviously Narwhal LP and Walrus LP to get Mammoth through the Genesis pool. Well, where our issue came from right now is everybody that wanted to get in got in very early and didn't commit anything to the protocol other than some short-term LP. So what I'm thinking is we offer an illiquid token again called X Walrus again, like how I want to do the revenue model. And it's a locked staking. So you'll be able to yield off of that. but you have to commit it for 2 weeks, and then we'll have the Genesis pool run for a week. So the only way to get into the Genesis is taking that LP token, locking it for a week, 2 weeks, and yield off of it, just all the same. But then you can use that token to get into the Genesis pool, and then you'll have to commit to that LP for another week so that we can get stability afterwards, if that makes sense. I hope I'm.
Yeah, it might be an interesting idea, actually.
So that there's no pre-sale, there's no of that like buying right before and then selling right after. It's more of a tapered off effect, and so I think that could be a lucrative way to engage investors that are actually here for the benefit of the protocol, because those people, the people that would actually commit to doing that and taking that risk of locking their LP, those are the people that I want holding my Mammoth token, right? So that's one of the ways that I'm thinking about releasing it.
All right. Cool, man. Thanks very much.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for coming up.
See you guys later. Yeah.
What else you got?
Let me see here. We had a question about the name Frozen Waters. I said you kind of just went with the Arctic theme and ran with it.
That's right, I did. So I'm actually going to reveal our website that we're working on, because I think we're very close. Now, a couple of things is that it does have some references that this designer used for another redesign he was going to do for 2 ohm, 3 ohm, but just know that it will all be Frozen Walrus assets, but that's why you see the 2 ohm logos on it. So I'm going to show you, if you're not on my YouTube, check it out, and I'm going to show you our new vision for Frozen Walrus D-app. So without further ado, we'll pop it in right here. Let me make this smaller so that you can see it all. Yeah, I think that might help. So yeah, so if you're not looking, it's on there now. Take a gander. We have a new logo coming in that I think looks absolutely phenomenal that will be on all of our merch. And I did find out how to use that merch to go straight back into the Treasury. So another revenue opportunity. So I'm very happy about that. I get to use my LLC with a PayPal, and then I can send that right back to crypto and send it straight to me. So I'm very happy about that. We also have a complete one-page Tomb Fork, as you can see. We have a farm, a boardroom, nodes, and rebates all being handled from this mini sub-menu where you'll be able to do all your depositing and claiming right from this menu, which looks absolutely phenomenal. This designer is amazing. And so we also will have a dashboard. And then down below, we have a lottery, compound, bonds, which is our DeFi products currently. And then we'll have the dashboard here with a link with our Treasury balance here at the front page. And then obviously our tiles that I don't think are super important to put up, because everybody that gets on this website is really just trying to compound or invest. And that's what I wanted to put to the forefront. So you'll have your boardrooms, your nodes, your rebates, everything there. And then obviously all of our metrics here at the very bottom. So a much more professional design for our website, which I'm very happy about, because I think eyes on in the future, once we start developing out real utilities and stuff like that, Jumpman feels very comfortable being able to build this with Tailwind, which is a development language that makes it a lot more with CSS, which makes it a lot more dynamic in how he can produce new content on this page. And then I've also been linked up with some amazing devs that are super trusted by some very trusted people to build out products for us if we choose to take that route. So that I can leave Jumpman to do obviously the work that needs to be done in the forefront, and then start budgeting for new protocols and new designs and new aspects of Frozen Walrus. So hopefully you got to see it. I'll scroll down one more time if you're kind of getting late to the party. And then that'll be it. So yeah. So if you want to, you can check back in on the YouTube to check that out. But yeah, I think it looks amazing. There's a couple things like a dark background that I want to lighten up just a little bit, but obviously it is more dark centric, so I don't have to hear any more complaints about dark mode. But still, it's a very, very professional, clean website. And so I'm very happy to have that. And I think it's going to look great with our new utilities that we bring in. And so I'm super excited. I'm super excited to bring that to you. I should have the designer reaching out to me on Monday. And then we should be able to finalize hopefully next week. And then obviously we have to implement it to our website as our official website. So that's something that Jumpman will have to work on. But yeah, Dylan, did we get any more questions?
Yeah, Palavan asked if there would be a day mode available as well.
Jesus Christ.
I told him that was a dangerous question in the chat.
Jesus Christ. No, right now there's no day mode.
Sorry, guys.
I produced a brand new website, paid for it, and then I'm gonna have a bunch of comments about how it's too dark now.
Not so savvy wants to know, with the inevitable future success of Frozen Walrus, do you see linking like outside world into DeFi through Frozen Walrus, such as payment gateway or whatever?
Sure, if I can find an avenue for it, then and I can get the legal part and the legal aspect down, that's fine with me. I'll of course find, obviously as DeFi develops over the next, we have another 9 months of emissions before we decide if we want to extend it. I'm going to try and find, lucrative ways to develop with the DeFi scene. If there's more laws that come out that are more stringent or more lenient, then we could take those avenues and start finding ways to, integrate with the real world. But I will say I'm not doing fucking real estate. So don't ask
No real
about
estate.
Don't ask about real estate. Any other questions you've seen?
Let's see here. Any more questions, guys? Anybody wants to come up and speak?
I didn't realize that we've already went to an hour. But yeah, so like the takeaway, and I'll have another rant video on my YouTube, is that please start engaging with my YouTube more so that we can use it as a marketable tool for actual revenue for the Treasury. And if we decide that we want to do that, again, that's something that you all can determine if you feel like it's a good aspect, but I think it's a great avenue. I know that we can get with over 1,000, 2,000 subscribers. I know what we're capable of getting. And I think that it would be a lucrative thing for us to do if we can all start engaging with the YouTube. So that's one easy way that we can, for free, start making revenue for the Treasury. So, but the main thing is we as a community have to, bust ass right here and work for your own investment. If you're an investor and you're like, oh no, like I see it all the time, people just come in and they'll say, oh no, what happened to fucking Walrus price? Well, more people sold. That's what happened. But is that constructive? Is that going to get us to peg? Like, do something for your own investment and really dig your feet in the sand. And if you're a rider of Frozen Walrus and you want to be a long-term investor, then make your protocol work. I can do a lot, but I can't drive straight price action 24/7. I just can't do it. It's impossible for me. Obviously you all don't think that's true, but I'm just making it clear that like I can't, as just a single person, make the price go up. But we as a collective can actually do that. It just takes time, effort, and effort from the community. And if you're not a talker in the Discord, that's fine. Find something else that's positive. I need people that reach out that want to do education and materials for Frozen Walrus. I need people that want to say, hey, is this a good idea? Can I bring up Frozen Walrus here? Like I have you all to be fingers in every kind of DeFi avenue possible, and we have to leverage that. We have to use it. So be an active investor. I promise you, your own investment will benefit from it. And again, the narrative has to switch from pegging soon or pegging it all to deepening liquidity and making sure the narrative is no matter what, you are able to yield off of this protocol. You are able to use this protocol no matter what, but you get added incentives if we can drive it over peg. That's it, right? So with that in mind, if nobody else has other questions, I know the person that I want as the crypto assistant, somebody that has been busting their ass, actually giving a ton of fucking suggestions through the chat, and his name is Edge, and he's been constantly DMing me with brand new suggestions and just it's going off the wall with all kinds of crazy shit, which I love, because really that's how you do it. You start bouncing ideas off and then something sticks and we're like, hold on, this can actually work, right? And so, Edge, thank you for all of the commitment you've been putting into the protocol. I don't know if you're here, but regardless, you may hear this Ask Me Anything. And so thank you for being a part of that. Dylan, if you want to pick a winner from somebody that listened to the chat for the 3 Walrus share.
John Teeter.
Who?
John Teeter.
That's one of that's a crypto degen. I'm sure he's a crypto degen, but he's a part of the community. John, congratulations, man. And then we need to pick best question.
That's on you.
Who had the best question?
Steven's question
Where did I
got
go on
you
the?
on a pretty
Okay.
strong tangent.
All
That
right.
was
give it to Steven then. Anybody that makes me
Yeah.
talk a lot, which is pretty easy, granted.
all right.
Looks
What a
like
good
we
AMA.
have made great progress in the PCP campaign number 2. So I'm very happy about that. Jumpman just DM'd me. But yeah, there's a lot to fucking look forward to. And you can see it in a lot of protocol leaders' voices and actions, that when stuff like this happens or like the market is down, they'll kind of recede. Well, you're going to get sick of me by the time I'm done with it, right? I'll just go fucking harder. I will not give up. Even Brando said that I will die trying. And that's fucking correct. I really will. I just won't stop. And that's, I think, going to set us apart eventually, is that I really do care for you all as investors and people. And I do want to better your lives in some capacity, whether it's being positive or through, monetary gain through my protocol. So yeah. Don't get so hung up on current prices. Get hung up on how you can drive sentiment, how you can make your investment work for you, and how you can, better Frozen Walrus as a community member. Because you all do matter. Like, everything you all do impacts the price at the end of the day. If you sell $10 under peg, that impacts the price action. Like, it just does. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't sell. If you need the money, of course, sell. But you drive your own sentiment. Holding, and I see this a lot, that people are selling Walrus into Walrus share if Narwhal pegs, or if Walrus gets close to peg, they'll sell it and then buy Walrus share. That's so insanely stupid. I'll never get behind it. And you are stupid if you do it. I'll just be honest with you. You're literally devaluing your own position that you just bought into. So, do whatever you want. But you, right now, everyone that's listening can have an impact on Frozen Walrus. I've made that very clear from the very start, and it really does mean something. Everything you do, the interactions you make, the people that you tell, when you're negative or when you're positive in the chat, every bit of that affects the overall picture. And if you don't see that, trust me that I do. And so, on the grand scheme of things, work for your investment and work for the betterment of Frozen Walrus. Make this a workable project. Make this something that fucking works. DeFi doesn't have to be a tombstone that everybody thinks it is. Like, you can change the sentiment. You can change the drive. You as an investor, make that fucking call yourself. I obviously can't make you all do this, but I'm telling you that we as a collective can change that mentality and be different. But it takes a group effort, and it starts with one person, and it snowballs. So, yeah. Dylan, is there anything else that we need to cover?
Brother, if we didn't cover it in this last hour and 1 minute, I don't know what else we could talk about. You rolled through that one.
Yeah. Just
Smooth
remember that,
jazz the whole time.
like, I am fighting for this protocol with everything in me. And I hope that gives you some solace, that, there is no reason to panic. I can't make prices go up, but I can continue to pay you for LP that you provide for the system. It may not always be high, but here's another thing is the APRs are lower right now, but you're still being offered Walrus share at the same rate. It's just not the same price, which is what causes the APRs up. So if you believe that Walrus share is at a devalued spot, or an undervalued spot, that it's very easy for you as a person to still farm that with less TVL, mind you. So a higher share of the shares, you're still getting the same amount. So let that be knowledge for yourself. And just know that you're providing LP for the same share amount, if not more, because there's less TVL in those in the farms. Also, a couple new ideas that I've talked about. People have been asking about Narwhal Walrus nodes. I want to host the liquidity locally so that we can get our swap for those two, so that we can actually take like a 1% fee and then burn that straight up. And so I want to do that before we introduce that. So we'll have to do that. There is I still want to do a Walrus Share LP boardroom that shares all of the emissions. No, I have no interest in making my own decks unless it is a balancer fork, which I do want to do still. I still think that we could benefit greatly from a balancer fork. So, yeah. But thank you for all the love and support. Thank you for anybody that's still riding with me. If you exit it, I ain't mad at you. Do what you need to do. Just know that I'll still be here when you want to come back. And hopefully that helps you. And yeah, be positive, stay positive. And if you're not positive about Frozen Walrus, just stay out of the chat for the day. Everybody needs a mental break. Even me, I still haven't had that, but eventually we will. Eventually we'll get it. Speaking of that, tomorrow my son is having his 1-year birthday party. And so I will be off most of the day because we're having over 40 family members here. It's going to be a complete shit show. So I will be very sporadic on Discord. So apologies in advance. And so will Top Gun because he'll be here cooking he's smoking pulled pork for my family. So yeah, that is why I will be sporadic tomorrow. So have some expectations of that and apologies in advance. But yeah. Oh, I'll actually highly recommend Paul Dutton's video. He also shares some of the same sentiments I do. And that is a very good video about how he is still in profit. And it's all about how long you're looking. If you're an investor, then invest. Quit fucking investing in something and then losing your backbone because it drops a couple percent while you're still yielding. If you invest it and you knew those risks going in, because I'm pretty sure I make it very apparent, then it would be crazy to invest in something while the APRs are a little bit higher. And then all of a sudden that the APRs drop and the price drops, you're like, oh shit, now I'm a trader. And then I'm going to dump my entire position at a loss. Insane to me. Get some backbones. We're investors. We're big boys and girls. If you're investing in Frozen Walrus, then invest in it. Stop trading it. So yeah, other than that, be positive, do something good for somebody else. Try and give away money. If you've got extra money, try and help a homeless person out. Walk an old man across the street, you'll feel a hell of a lot better. And get out and touch fucking grass. Quit being in Discord every fucking day and worrying about the price and coming in with such negative sentiment. It's absolutely unneeded and it does nothing for your own investment. We may get hurt more before we go up. I don't know. I don't know what the price is going to hold. I just know that I'm going to keep fucking building and I'm going to keep trying to produce positive price action when it's available. So you make your call as an investor. I don't make it for you. So pick one and let's figure it out together.
Bro, you gonna be able to vape after this? I think you used all your breath there for the day.
No, I got plenty. I could go for another fucking hour, honestly. I got plenty of shit to say. It's just
Jumpman said he missed the first part of it. I said that was the best part. So
yeah.
if you want to just start from the top.
Yeah. Get your shit together. Let's build a protocol as a community. Let's do what we know it takes to do and quit sitting on the sidelines and complaining about, oh no, DeFi's dead. Oh no. DeFi's dead because the entire sentiment of everybody saying DeFi's dead. It's psychological. Why are you a part of that if your money's in DeFi? Quit getting fucking scammed by every whale that's making you fucking invest and uninvest and make a call for yourself. Be an active investor. There's Guapo. I actually promised him an important role. But sorry, Guapo, you're going to need at least 10 bands on it. No, I'm kidding. We can find that role for you. Yeah, I think what did we decide on, Guapo, for your special role if you choose to take it? I don't know if he's in the Discord. Yeah, Snowman. He wants to be Snowman.
But I just made this.
Oh shit, that's kind of dope for real. I mean, it looks like you photoshopped it together real fast.
It was 100% photoshopped together. In fact, I stole that walrus image from a school website. Oh, Tusk. Bro, how did I... Fuck. I quit. He just won. I can't top that. God damn it.
Thank you all for the support. Even if you're here for just the walrus share, you had to listen to my voice. So, haha, got you. Don't care. It's worth it to me because that's what makes these things impactful. And yeah, I'm really happy to still be here and still be talking to you. And thanks for all the support, man. It means a lot. We've had some rough days, and even my mental has been in crisis mode through that big panic cascade, and it took me some time to recover from it. I'm just human like you all, so sometimes I get down too. But regardless, it's time to kick it in high gear and fucking do something for ourselves and quit worrying about where all this negative sentiment's coming from and worry about what we can do now. That's right. Shovel out the shit and let's keep building. It's the motto. Put it on a fucking t-shirt. I ain't fucking
We don't have
leaving.
anywhere else to go. Austin, do you have anywhere else to go?
Honestly, I don't even leave my fucking house anymore.
I don't either.
I haven't used gas in so long that all these people talking about gas prices is so fucking crazy to me. I just sit here and work. And then sometimes I play with my son or I rock him to bed and I'm still working. You have somebody here that really wants to be in the space, really wants to fucking build a sustainable protocol, really get active investors, is front facing. Don't fuck it up, guys. Let people know in DeFi that this should be the normalcy. Don't let people up here just fucking lollygag around and run a project with no business orientation towards it whatsoever that doesn't care about you. Show DeFi a fucking win, and this should be the new fucking standard, and we can change it.
He wants all the smoke.
Yeah, man, I'm fucking tired of all this shit in this fucking space. I deal with so many malicious people on a fucking daily basis. You have no idea the mental state it can put you in, but yet I'm still here. And, as many bad people as I come through, I know that I can be a real change. And, with y'all's support and help, we can do that. And that's what I'm going to do. So thank you all for listening. Thank you all for coming in. I highly recommend watching it from the beginning. There was some stuff that needed to be said, and it did get said. And so we're going to start posting this shit up. And let's move my YouTube channel up to another degree so that we can, keep bringing new protocols in that want a space that I can vet to some extent, and then let them have a platform of actual engaged investors, and not lollygag around and make some fucking and make some money for the Treasury. What's crazy is me and AJ were talking from EMP, and we had a long conversation today that was supposed to be short, but we both got into talking about like our protocols and how much we ended up coming to the same conclusions and how much I've built just like what he's built. And again, I had no knowledge of a lot of EMP stuff like their EMP Academy and stuff like that, but his passion, his view on DeFi and these protocols is almost in like 100% in line with mine. And it's really good to it's really refreshing because so many people are here for the wrong reasons. Even some community members, like it's just part of DeFi, and it's because you all get to be anonymous, and it's just a part of it. But that's it. That's all I got. I have a team meeting. We're busting our ass as a team to start producing some different stuff and building in different directions, and hopefully everybody's available for that. I think some are, but we may have to wait a little bit. But anyway, yeah. So keep coming up with ideas. I think we should really have like a suggestion and voting system where we remove the suggestion category, but you make actual formal suggestions and then the community vote on them so that like we can actually see where sentiment or like where a majority of people think is a good idea to actually spend time on. But regardless,